Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a smashing Saturday so far. This is going to be our daily cryptocurrency market update, and we've got a lot of interesting things to share with you. We're going to start the video off by looking at a tweet from Willy Woo that is essentially suggesting that Wall Street are accumulating Bitcoin right now while selling the futures market, so affecting the price and taking advantage of the macro trend, the macro trade, and the risk-off environment, but actually looking at this as an opportunity to accumulate Bitcoin. And we're going to talk about that to start the video off. We'll be going through what news there is today. It's quite a low news day. And I'm going to be, of course, diving into some technicals because I still have cause for concern moving forwards. We'll be reiterating our stance on the cryptocurrency market at the moment. And the way that the equity market actually closed on Friday doesn't fill me with confidence over this weekend moving into Monday, which has become quite a dumpy day, if you will. And of course, we'll look at the overall market and its health. But let's really kick things off with this Willy Woo tweet, which I thought was really interesting. Willy Woo is, in my opinion, I've got a lot of respect for the guy. He's been doing this a long time. I know he did recently stop his newsletter. And on-chain analytics, they've often been a really good indicator to see what the price is going to do. You know, certain analytics for Bitcoin, if a factor is met or a criteria is met where, you know, Bitcoin reaches a certain point of something, often the price has moved in association. That's become less and less of the case. However, it's still, on-chain analytics, of course, have an effect on Bitcoin. And I think, you know, it's that's really a testimony to the maturity of this space and how it's kind of matured to the point where it's lost its innocence almost with the inflow of institutional investors. But this tweet reads from Willy: Bitcoin price is sideways because of Wall Street is selling futures contracts in a macro risk-off trade. Meanwhile, institutional money is scooping spot Bitcoin at peak rates and moving it to cold storage. It's time like these where I remember the Q4 2020 supply shock squeeze. BTC price holding up well while equities tank and USD index moons in testament to the unprecedented spot buying happening right now. In other words, investors already see BTC as a safe haven. It will take time for price to reflect. Wait for futures selling to run out of ammo. I found that very, very interesting and thought-provoking in the sense that potentially that is what's happening. One thing that I can say, yes, short-term, things don't look amazing, but one thing that I definitely can say is that Bitcoin's impressed me. Even he relates it to the DXY. The last time the DXY was at 100, I think Bitcoin was around about 4K. Today, the DXY is at 100, Bitcoin's at around about 40K. Puts things into perspective. And also, given everything that's happened, the stuff with Russia, the macro environment, Bitcoin's actually held up relatively well in comparison with the likes of 2017 and 2014, you know, where we've seen these bear markets. This market, in some ways, it's not... 2021 has done and been a huge learning experience for everybody involved in markets because a lot of the things that we've been following to date got invalidated, whether that be plan B stock to flow, whether that be the 4-year cycle theory, which I think has been invalidated to a degree. You're still going to have a halvening every 4 years. But the fact that Bitcoin has held up in the manner that it has is impressive. You know, 2017 or 2018, I should say, when we actually sold off, we didn't have anywhere near the kind of news and uncertainty that we have today. And Bitcoin is still currently where it is, which kind of supports, in my opinion, Willy Woo's thesis here, saying that potentially Wall Street are looking to accumulate and are actually doing that. And we can see, you know, you can go and watch. People forget Bitcoin is a public ledger. Anybody can view the transactions going on within Bitcoin and who they're going to in terms of the wallet addresses. It's certainly an interesting thesis or interesting point that he raises, and one that I could actually subscribe to. You know, we are very cautious at the moment on the cryptocurrency market, but that's short term. Long term, nobody's more bullish on crypto than me. You know, this $1.7 trillion market is going to get to the tens, if not into the hundreds of trillions one day. You know, it really is a technological revolution that's changing the world. And I think, you know, the potential or the fact that we could be seeing Wall Street accumulating it accordingly could really reflect that. So that's really the bulk of the news we've got here. Just in a mysterious well has purchased 71 million Bitcoin in the past 7 days. This is frequent news, by the way. This always happens. We've been looking at a number of things going on in the traditional world, things that may affect the DXY. But what we're going to do now is dive into the technical. So the overall market isn't really doing a lot. We know the story for Bitcoin, and this is really the chart that haunts me and where you currently are in it. You're at this kind of midway point. And in an already downward trending market, this has led to more capitulation or more continuation to the downside. And I think potentially you're looking at a similar thing today, unless Bitcoin does something pronto. We've spoke about a number of catalysts that may cause this, like potentially only a 25 basis point Fed fund rate from the Fed. I don't think that's, and that's pretty much not going to be the case at this point. There's data that suggests that it's, almost 97% going to be a 50% or more basis point hike. That kind of shows that the Fed are going to continue to be seriously and actually look to be very aggressive and hawkish in moving forwards. And I don't think markets have quite priced all of that in yet, plus runaway inflation and a number of other things taking place. So I can still see further downside. But again, the good news is mid to long term. In fact, even at the end of this year, I think we could be shooting right back out the other end. And I almost kind of want a capitulation event to get these markets over. I am short certain altcoins. I'm going to take advantage. My net position is long-term hodl, the pot that I just have and accumulate for crypto. And then I do trade a little bit, certainly in periods like this where things are very volatile to one side or the other. Another cause for concern, I think, over this weekend and something to definitely pay attention to is how the stock market closed on Friday. Doesn't fill me with a great deal of confidence when you've got a weak stock market going into, and I know they had their earnings and a number of other things that have played in here, but when you have a weak stock market going into a weekend for the cryptocurrency market, which of course trades 24/7, Mondays, I'm looking at Monday being a bit of a downward day as it's previously been. Couple that with everything else, and you could be at the other side of this line. This chart absolutely haunts me. And certainly short term gives me some cause for concern. But we'll see what happens in the long term, or certainly mid to long term. I'm not really worried at all. I'm just sort of cautious and somewhat defensive at the moment moving forwards. And these are all things that you guys need to really pay attention to. So that is really the bulk of what I have for you in this video. There wasn't really a great deal to cover in terms of news. It was just a short and sweet one touching base with you guys. Let me know what you think about Willy Woo's thesis in the comment section. I certainly think it's an interesting one. I do think there are things that would suggest that this is the case, that Wall Street are actually buying Bitcoin and actually storing it, but at the same time shorting the market currently through the futures, the derivatives market, to take advantage of a trade that's quite obvious at the moment. Markets are, to me, your equity market is certainly looking like it's going to continue to the downside. And we've seen a huge correlation between the equity market and the crypto market, which is why, again, the Friday close that we have doesn't fill me with a massive amount of confidence. So that's really all I have for you in this video, guys. If you have enjoyed this content, a like is always appreciated, so is a comment. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the next YouTube video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Enjoy your Saturdays.